Commander Zethvar's 4 eyes tracked the human diplomat's movements with practiced precision. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez represented the Terran coalition at the Peace Summit on Kepler Station, and as head of her security detail, he took his duties seriously. The humans called their homeworld a Deathworld, a designation that had initially amused the Valkyrian command structure. How dangerous could a species be that couldn't even project energy shields or manipulate gravity fields? That amusement had died quickly during the border wars. Mama, look at the pretty lights. The small human offspring, Emma, if Zethvar recalled correctly, pressed her face against the observation deck's reinforced transparasteel. Below them, the station's docking bay bustled with activity as various species loaded and unloaded cargo vessels. Elena Rodriguez smiled, her weathered features softening as she watched her daughter. Beautiful, isn't it, sweetheart? All those different ships from across the galaxy. Zethvar's secondary arms twitched, a nervous habit his species had never quite evolved away from. The human diplomat insisted on bringing her offspring to diplomatic functions, claiming it helped humanize negotiations. Most species found the practice unprofessional, but Zethvar had observed how the small human's presence seemed to disarm even the most militant delegates. Ambassador, Subcommander Yixdal's voice crackled through their neural link. We're detecting a malfunction in Cargo Bay 7. Recommend moving to a secure location. Zethvar was about to relay the message when the station shuddered. Emergency klaxons began wailing, and the artificial gravity fluctuated wildly. Through the observation deck's massive windows, they watched in horror as a massive cargo transport broke free from its magnetic clamps, its anti-grav systems sparking and failing. The transport, easily weighing 40 metric tons, began its inexorable descent toward the bay floor, where maintenance crews scattered like startled insects. But Emma Rodriguez had wandered closer to the window during the commotion, directly below the falling vessel's trajectory. Emma! Elena's voice cracked like a whip across the deck. What happened next would be seared into Zethvar's memory until his dying day. The human diplomat moved faster than any being had a right to move without powered assistance. She vaulted over the safety barrier, a 3-meter drop that should have shattered the bones of any reasonable species, and hit the bay floor running. The cargo transport was already halfway down, its mass creating visible distortions in the emergency force fields struggling to contain it. Elena Rodriguez reached her daughter just as the transport's edge clipped the station's superstructure, sending it into a catastrophic spin. The child had frozen in terror as 40 tons of spinning metal descended toward her. And then Elena Rodriguez did something that defied every law of physics Zethvar understood. She grabbed the transport's landing strut. The Valkyrian commander's combat-trained mind tried to process what his optical sensors were recording. The human female, weighing perhaps 60 kilograms, had arrested the fall of a cargo vessel 40 times her mass. Her feet had gouged trenches in the deck plating as she absorbed the impact, but she held firm. Impossible, Yixtal whispered over the comm. The structural integrity of her skeleton should have. Shut up, Zethvar hissed, unable to look away. Elena Rodriguez's muscles strained against her civilian clothing, which began tearing at the seams. Her face contorted with effort, tendons standing out like cables against her neck. But she didn't let go. Instead, she began to push. The cargo transport, 40 tons of composite metal and exotic matter, slowly began to rise. Emma Rodriguez scrambled clear just as her mother finally released her grip, allowing the transport to crash harmlessly into an empty section of the bay. Elena collapsed to her knees, her hands leaving actual impressions in the metal strut where she'd gripped it. Medical team to Cargo Bay 7. Zethvar managed to croak into his comm, his voice barely functioning. Later, in the medical bay, Dr. Kithmorn ran his scanners over Elena Rodriguez for the 4th time. I don't understand it, the healer caste physician muttered to Zethvar. Her skeletal density is within normal parameters for her species. Her muscle fibers show no enhancement. By all biological metrics, what she accomplished should have been impossible. Elena Rodriguez sat on the examination table, cradling her sleeping daughter. Her hands were bandaged, and she moved gingerly, but she was smiling. You've never had children, have you, Doctor? My species reproduces through spore casting. It's a very different process. Then you wouldn't understand. She looked down at Emma's peaceful face. When your child is in danger, impossible becomes irrelevant. Zethvar's primary eyes met her gaze. In 30 cycles of military service, he had seen Valkyrian warriors tear through battle armor with their bare claws, witnessed Centauri psionics move mountains with their minds, and watched Hydran engineers rebuild faster-than-light drives with their tentacles. But he had never seen anything that impressed him more than Elena Rodriguez lifting 40 tons of metal with nothing but determination and a mother's love. "Ambassador," he said quietly, "I believe I'm beginning to understand why the galaxy calls your world a death world." Elena Rodriguez smiled, an expression that somehow managed to be both gentle and terrifying. "Commander, you haven't seen anything yet." Outside the medical bay's windows, the stars wheeled silently through space, carrying word of humanity's latest impossible feat to civilizations across the galaxy. And in diplomatic circles throughout known space, a new saying began to emerge: never threaten a Deathworlder's offspring. The wise species heeded that warning.